Hello everyone, it is Pelicandude back again with a new Let's Play series for Kerbal Space Program. Today we are starting a science campaign, which basically that means that we currently have pretty much zero technology, but eventually want to get all the way through here. But as well as that, because, researching little nodes isn't necessarily the most entertaining of goals, we also have our grand goal for this series, which is total Duna colonization. What does that mean exactly? Well, we're going to figure out the exact details, but essentially have a large population of Kerbals on Duna. I'm thinking about potentially having that include life support mods where I will have to have it be a truly self-sustaining colony that has farming equipment and all that other good stuff. But for right now, we are still very early on in the game, obviously, having not launched anything yet. So we're going to go ahead and just launch our first rocket to get the housekeeping out of the way. So that is the overall goal, though. Get to Duna or die trying, which, thankfully I won't be doing any of the dying. It will be a lot of small green victims of ours that will probably be doing the dying in the process, which is unfortunate for them, but amusing for us. So we're going to go ahead and get our first spacecraft into commission here, which we will have to give some sort of amusing name. But for right now, we are still building it, so let's give it 3 goo containers, and let's choose some unknowns. Just get those in here right away. Arleon something. She shall be our first victim. Test subject. Astronaut. Yes! One of those delightful words. And let's name it the Bottle Rocket 1. There we go. So here we are with our first vehicle. Also, to prevent staging mishaps, let's make sure the booster and the parachute are in different stages. And being that the 4th of July is so near, I think Bottle Rocket's actually quite an appropriate name for our first rocket. So let's go ahead and see how well she does. Obviously, not tremendously well. I mean, this is a pretty basic vehicle, but let's go ahead and get some goo out of the way from the launch pad, because the launch pad is clearly a place that we have never been here before. Toggle EVA suit. Ah, right, I forgot about that mod that I have where we can actually see the Kerbals' heads, because, there's no real need to have a helmet on when you're here on the planet Kerbin. Also, we have Scatterer installed, so things should look a bit prettier overall. And as you can see, I've also made some modifications to Kerbin side to make the facility here seem a bit more lived in, one might say. We have a little residential area off to several kilometers to the side here, as well as like a broadcast station and just some different additions that are not in stock Kerbal constructs, but I went ahead and added because I think this is fun. And of course, since it's science mode, everything starts with max upgrades, which means that it looks a bit absurd to have this tiny little rocket on this gigantic launch pad, but we are nothing if not thorough. So let's go ahead and see how she flies. Unfortunately, Arleon is probably experiencing a fair amount of pain right now because the G-forces were closing in on 10, but, we don't know what the Kerbal's sustainability is, so to speak, for G-force limiting. Hopefully it's nothing too terrible, or I should say hopefully it's something high, because I feel bad if it's not. But flying out over the ocean, I want to try and make it into the water, but I don't know if that'll work or not. We'll see. I think we'll make it. By the looks of things now, I think we're going to make it to the water. We'll find out though. Find out shortly as we attempt to fly this little thing kind of like an aircraft. Some of the textures in this game have gotten quite beautiful. I really actually like the look of this. It's not the most detailed, but I don't know, there's something about the way they the models they use. I just love the appearance of so much of the stuff in this game. And obviously part of this is the terrain is greatly affected and improved by Scatterer, but the rockets themselves are all squad. So we'll go ahead and pop our parachute here before we get too close to the water, because you know we would prefer not to have anyone die this early on in such a basic launch. And there we go. Quite successful, if not completely crazy first launch, and we're just going to time warp down to the surface here because there's really not much that'll happen for a few minutes. But look at this water. Look at this beautiful Scatterer water. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And observe the mystery goo from water. So we are in the water biome, not just in the shore. And get out. Is the suit wet? It looks like it's wet. Is that? That's got to be part of the. I can't remember the name of the mod I'm using to give them different suits and things like that, but that's wonderful. The suit is actually affected a little bit by the environment. It looks like it's actually kind of wet to me. I don't know. That's fantastic. Very appropriate for the water, and of course we can still see under the ocean though if we pan the camera down, you know. Alright, so let's go ahead and recover the vessel and get this first episode going on. So yeah, all of our lovely science, 43 science, not exactly an excessive amount of science, but enough. It shall be enough for us to hopefully get some more elaborate missions going. We definitely want the heat shield and cannot afford general rocketry, so let's go ahead and get stability at this time and proceed to launch our next rocket. Of course, Kerbal Space Program is kind of crazy if you think about, I mean, of course it's kind of crazy, it's Kerbal. Kerbal is becoming synonymous with kind of insane. We're going to go ahead and get our ablator down because we don't need quite that much and it'll save on weight. But the first rockets that you launch, if you think about it, it would be absurd to launch manned rockets for your first space missions. Like, that would just be idiotic to do, and yet this is what we end up doing here in Kerbal Space Program. Is this the... okay, that's the LTV-45. Awesome. Like, the level of stupidity that you'd have to have in order to send some sort of manned vehicle before doing any sort of unmanned tests is insane. Like, because obviously, you know, let's say you rewind back to the 1950s or whatever, or even the 40s and 30s, or the early days of rocketry goes back to, well, quite a long ways, I suppose, depending on what you really want to count as a rocket. But, you know, back in the early days of the space programs of modern times, I'll say, they, like, you know, obviously we didn't have probes or drones or anything like that, but we at least had, you know, we would just fire these rockets that were essentially supposed to be roughly self-guiding, aerodynamically stable, to at least see, oh, you know, fuel mixtures, how do these work? But maybe this isn't, you would assume, you know, this isn't a universe where maybe they've already done that, right? That's your logical assumption, where it's like, okay, well, maybe we're just picking up in, you know, after the first few bits of research have been completed, that this is just all afterwards, that we don't actually have to worry about any of that stuff as a result of the fact that, you know, they've already completed it. But that doesn't actually make sense if you think about it, because our technology would be so primitive. Like, would your first manned launch really only go 5 kilometers in the air? No, probably not. It would probably go much higher. So it is just one of these amusing things about Kerbal Space Program, is that, okay, our center of mass, we'll give it some more fins down here, so that way we can make sure the rocket is stable for the first part of its flight. Alright, that should be good. But it is kind of funny, but of course complaining about realism in Kerbal Space Program is totally pointless. So we'll go ahead and launch the Bottle Rocket 2 with, I guess we're going to have Arlene as the pilot for a second time. What is... The interior looks pretty much the same here, I guess. Yeah, okay. Because I think you can... Yeah, this new feature where you can actually look inside from the outside, which is quite nice. But let's go ahead and turn that off for now. And this is actually meant to be, hopefully, a suborbital launch vehicle. So we'll actually be able to get some science from space, hopefully. And we get our Science Junior report to start off with, and the vehicle continues to soldier upwards, already almost surpassing, yeah, first stage is surpassing the... Oh crap, I separated early. Okay, we're gonna have to... Oh, okay, we have a bit of a mishap here. Bit of a mishap. No. 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 Okay, this is bad. Okay. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Let's see if we can recover any of this at all. Come on, swivel engine, swivel engine. There we go. In our totally realistic rocket launch. Okay. Yeah. That happened. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm sure it's all fine. I'm sure she doesn't have extreme whiplash. You know, any pilot really could execute these kind of maneuvers, in my opinion. So I don't see any reason to think that's absurd or ridiculous or anything like that. Why would you? Alright, let's see if we'll actually make it to space. We will make it to space. Just barely. So this is going to have to be... This is going to have to be a very quick operation to get out of the capsule. You know what, I think we're going to have to get out of the capsule. We're going to have to take this data, get our science reports done, and then get back in before things are too late, one might say. And hopefully our descent angle will not be too extreme that, you know, we will die. Hopefully, anyway. So let's go ahead and get our EVA report. We can apparently toggle the EVA suit, which seems like it would be a terrible idea up here. You know, that's just my opinion, but does not seem like the smart thing to do. We're going to go ahead and get our science from space near Kerbin from all of our experiments. And I hit the space bar by accident, of course. Okay, let's try and run back here. We can do our best to solve this problem, hopefully. Okay, we don't have much time. We do not have much time at all here. This is extremely dangerous. This is kind of lunacy, actually. And we haven't even gotten to the moon yet. This is lunacy. Okay. Let's get all the data. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Quickly. Because that other pod is moving away from us, and now we've managed to introduce some spin here. Alright. Now... Okay, bottle rocket is 150. Okay, thankfully we have the nav ball now, which makes this much easier when we're navigating celestially with our Kerbal Knot. But as you can see, our we're getting to our apoapsis here, so much faster, and this would be a problem. Thankfully, we have absurd amounts of delta V in the jetpack here, or the MMU, the Man Maneuvering Unit. In this case, the Woman's Maneuvering Unit. I don't know. Oh, let's quickly hop out, and we'll take the data, and then we will board again, which will store the data. Yep, and then we'll do another crew report. And now we oh, and scatter does this weird thing with objects that are too far away if you're looking at them from different angles. So I don't know why that happens, but whatever. It's something we'll put up with because look at how pretty everything. Look at this atmosphere. Look how beautiful this is. This is just gorgeous, really. So hopefully we will survive re-entry now after our extremely awkward space maneuver. Still have plenty of electric charge, so we can go ahead and hold the SAS. We're still picking up speed despite the fact that we're in the atmosphere. So now is the time where hopefully our speed will hopefully start. Yeah, it's starting to get reduced, but not as fast as we would like. Come on. This is fine, I'm sure. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Yeah, we're good. Look at this. Go ahead and jettison this to save a little bit of weight. Of course, it's still going to be held up against us by the aerodynamic pressures for a little while anyway, but we have survived. Excellent. And the heat shield should fall away once the parachute starts to open. There we go. Goodbye, heat shield. Well, this is a fun view. It's kind of like having a camera in the parachute. It's very fun. Okay, and the heat shield dies a watery death far below us. Alright, well that was a very eventful first launch. Hopefully I'm not quite as trigger happy on the stage button in the future, because that could of course cause a lot of serious problems. But Arleon Kerman has become the first Kerbal to go to space, which is something we should salute her for. So we will go ahead and send out the recovery team, or i.e. just, hit the recover button. And I think that this first episode will be at an end. So thank you for watching this overly dramatic episode of Kerbal Space Program, the quest for Duna. And I hope you'll join us in the future for more misadventures in outer space. Thank you for watching.